Rock and roll Chicago. Rock and roll Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock the city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best here around.
Hey, this is Paul Martin
And Ray the Roadie.
for the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. How's it going today, Ray?
I'm doing good.
Oh, gee, what are you listening to? Come on, you messed it up now. What are you listening to?
I did. I hit the wrong button.
Hold on. We're in a holding pattern here, people.
All my bags are packed, I'm ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door.
Are we interviewing Peter, Paul, and Mary or something today?
No. We're actually leaving on a jet plane.
Okay, I'll see you. Have a safe trip.
No, we're meeting with the band C130.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
See the tie-in? The airplane leaving, flying.
Yeah, but I don't know. C-130 is a cargo plane. Unless you're packed in a box or something, a pine box, then you're going somewhere.
It's a lot of stuff you can put in there.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah, we're meeting with Mike, Don, and Ian from the band C130.
Yes. They've just recently gotten together. They've got a gig coming up soon
March 14th in Tinley Park.
in Tinley Park, Illinois. But they're all seasoned veterans and have been playing around for quite some time. So let's get to them and see what they have to say. If they're leaving on a jet plane, I don't know.
I hope they're not through the gate yet. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Hey, we're at the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66 in Joliet, Illinois. Joining us today is the C130 band. We have Don Lang, the bass player, Ian Shaw, guitar player, and some guy named Mike Lorber. What?
Who's that?
Yeah.
I've heard that name before.
The vocalist of the band. How you guys doing?
Good.
All right, we're good. Thanks.
Great.
Yeah, it's good to be
This
here.
place is impressive, man.
It's
Yes, it is.
It's massive.
It's going to be great once it opens.
we're actually having our first Hall of Fame induction on March 29th.
I saw that. Now, there's 4 REO, Cheap Trick.
Yeah, REO, Cheap Trick, Ides of March,
Buddy Guy.
Larry Lujack, Dick Biani getting a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Wow. Dick Biondi.
The Thirsty Whale is being inducted as a venue.
Is that still around?
No, it's gone.
that the one
it's
that
gone,
was-
yeah. It was in River Grove.
Yeah.
Man,
Wow.
River
Blast
Road.
from the past.
That's
yeah, definitely. So tell us about C130. Where did this all come together?
We are kind of, I guess the best way to describe it is a kind of like a wayward house for orphaned band boys. We are like all in different. Don and I were in Jack Daddy in the Traffic Jam, and that kind of fell apart. And then Don and Ian had done this thing called Rum Sunday and the Toucans. And then Brian, our drummer, was in the Sam Daniels band. So it was like all these different bands. Don has a Flying Pig Sound studio out in Bartlett in the basement. And that's always been kind of like the jam space.
It's really the nucleus for the disease of music we make.
Don's done this great thing, and you can explain it more, for years, where he'll do like a Facebook invite with a bunch of musicians and say, hey, let's just jam. And he'll get like 5 or 6 people together, and everybody picks out 2 songs, and you have like a month preparation, and then you just kind of jam. So I think that's really where everything started, where we would just all jam together. And then it just got to the point where, you know, a bunch of us weren't in bands anymore. And we're like, hey, let's do our own band. So that's kind of where it's come from. Brian Fredericks is our drummer, and his dad flew C-130 in the military. So that's where the name comes from.
Oh, okay.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Coming up with a band name is not easy.
No, it's not. No, not something that's catchy anyway.
Well, and everything's taken.
Yeah, the cool names always are taken. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so we have a good friend that has his 500-mile rule. So if you come up with a band name, if there's nothing near you, 500 miles. So I think the only other C-130 is like, as a band, is somewhere in Asia. And their last post we've ever seen is like 2009. So we think we're okay.
Yeah, there was years ago, I was with a bunch of guys who were putting a band together, couldn't come up with a name. There was a map on the board, and somebody took a dart and threw it. It was a world map, and it landed on some town in Canada called Treblock. We're like, that sounds good.
There you go. Yeah.
It sounds like a metal band, actually.
Yeah.
So unless we go play Budokan or something, I think we'll be all right.
And if we're playing Budokan, I think we can probably make them an offer for the name that they won't refuse.
Yeah. Then you arrive in a C130 would be awesome.
There you go. There you go.
You get all
Idea
your
for
gear.
the first video there.
Yeah.
Got all your gear in there. You bring your own fans. Some things are so big, you can bring everybody with you.
Right.
So how long has the band been together?
This, we have played together, like I said, in Don's basement for years, but the actual band kind of reforming started in about September, October. We had the four of us, and then, we're all in our 50s, and we kind of auditioned for a lead guitarist. And believe it or not, the lead guitarist ended up being 28 and works with Ian. And he's kind of an old soul, Matt Powell. And so we kind of got running with that. And we actually have our first gig at the Station Pub in Tinley Park on March 14th, kind of a St. Patrick's Day gig with my sister is in a band. Her name's Betsy Condon, called Harmonious Jones. Her and her friend do these amazing harmonies. And Frank Anastas plays acoustic guitar. So they'll kind of do an acoustic set first, and then we'll do kind of the harder rock with the two guitars.
Yeah. Frank used to be with Midnight.
Yeah.
He plays with John Folstrom.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you mentioned you're playing rock and roll, right? Or what kind of music? What's your genre your genre of choice, should I say?
We're doing anything really from like 60s, maybe through 90s, maybe like Black Keys, maybe be about the newest stuff that we do. So we've got some of them. We've got Good by Better Than Ezra. We've got Santa Monica, and then a couple of Oasis tunes, and then like Hard to Handle by the Black Crowes.
Some Bowie, and we do kind of a punked up version of a Monkey song.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's another thing we've liked doing over the years is take like a song like we do Stepping Stone, and we really kind of put the pedal down on it where it's almost like a metal / punk version of it. We did one with like All My Lovin' from the Beatles.
Kind of Me First in the Gimme Gimme's, a little bit of a punk twist. So it's rock and roll with maybe one toe in punk rock.
Okay.
We're still kind of figuring that out exactly where we wanna, what we're good at, what we all enjoy. Kind of trying to keep everyone in the band happy too. Give everyone,
Yeah.
Well, you want to give it your own spin.
Exactly.
You don't want to sound like everybody else.
But it's two guitars, and that's kind of, where I think the basis of the band is through the two guitars, and, anything that you can run through the two guitars. We don't have keys now, so we're just kind of doing it that way.
I think there's a band out there called Just Another Cover Band.
Probably.
There's a few of them out there.
Why were you considering that name at one time? Or?
I think it's taken.
I think one thing that's really cool is if all five of us in the group put together a list of our Desert Island albums, there might be one or two that show up on more than one list, but by and large, it's going to be 5 different lists.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, like we just practiced last night, and we've got about 16 songs now that we've put together since September and October. And then we were saying after this gig, hey, everybody pick one more song you want to do. And then we'll just add it that way. And so really, I mean, we've all got day jobs. They're teachers. I'm the Sky 5 helicopter guy. And we're kind of doing this. And obviously we want it to sound as good as it can, but we want it to be fun. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we've learned more in most over time. You really need to enjoy this. This is kind of like, our middle-age indulgence, habit that our wives let us do, and that type of thing. So you really want to enjoy it, and that's priority one.
Right. The wives are getting rid of us,
right?
Realizing, okay, you're not going to be out carousing. You're going to be with a bunch of other losers in a basement playing rock and roll. I know where you're at because I can hear you. Yeah. It just gets expensive with the gear. That's the thing you got to appease them with. Another guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
I need it, honey. I need it.
I always just liken it. I just point out the purses and the shoes.
There you go.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's a little different, but but I get it.
My younger brother is into cars and has, I think, 3 or 4 sitting around his yard and garage and has all the tools. And I keep saying to my wife, hey, I have less money invested in my hobby than he does in his, and all of my guitars play.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
And you're going to make a few bucks.
Right.
Maybe not enough to pay for it.
If we make enough to pay for the bar tab, we're doing good.
There you go.
There you go. So now you two are teachers, right? Any music teachers or no?
No, I'm a middle school history teacher, so I teach the hormonally challenged. So I've been doing that for 29 years.
Good luck with that, huh?
And Ian.
I'm a high school guidance counselor, actually.
Oh, okay.
And I do sponsor a guitar club. That's how Matt Powell and I connected, as we started talking about guitar. So he and I co-sponsor a guitar club. And once a week, you get together with, there's probably about 15 students that are regulars. And they just come and pick up some acoustic guitars and we sit around and jam. It's fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really cool.
That'd be cool.
So you advise them to not go into the music business?
I for about 5 years, I worked for my dad, who had a small record label called Folk Era Records. He worked with stuff like the Kingston Trio and the Limelighters, Glenn Yarbrough. And I started volunteering with high school students at a program while I was working for my dad. And I realized that the high school students were generally more organized and more mature than the professional musicians. And that was when I realized I was in the wrong field.
Oh, goodness.
So how many shows you got coming up now?
We've got the Station Pub on March 14th, and then we live in the Northwest Burbs. I'm from the Southwest side. I grew up in like Mount Greenwood and Oak Lawn, so I've kind of got that connection. So that's why we're playing there. We're playing Danny's on Douglas and Elgin.
In Elgin, sure.
Yeah, that's kind of one of our home bases. Don, for years, ran a really good open mic there on Tuesday nights. Like one of the best, most organized open mics that, for years and years, he did this thing where everybody would play, sign up 20, 30 minutes instead of like, some guy up there for 2 hours and play with his friends and you're waiting. So Danny's is kind of a home base. Don also runs a charity called the FET for the Almost Home Foundation. And they have a Guitars Under the Stars every year event there. Other than that, those are the two we have right now. We are looking to play possibly up in Lake Geneva.
Okay.
At a place called Papa's Spruce that my cousin happens to own right on Lake Como.
Well,
so,
what about that?
With the last band we played there last year, really cool. So we're looking around there. I think we're trying to get this one or two under our belt and then, kind of push things out for the summer.
Are you doing the bookings or is everybody...
I think I've done one and Don's done one. It's kind of whoever has the connection,
Okay.
I think and that's the cool thing about this band. I don't think we're, nobody really cares who gets the booking and all that.
As long as they get it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So,
And of course, because it's not our day job, we're thinking if we're playing about once a month, that's something that works for us and our families. Sure. And it's probably about as often as we can get our friends to come out and have a drink with us.
You know how it goes. Half the crowd is like people from other bands that you're friends with. So
When your demographic is committed, obliged friends and family, especially when they're all ranging from 30 to their 50s, trying to get them to come out twice a month.
That being said, we got a really good looking showing for the Tinley Park gig coming up. It's looking like it's going to be very crowded. So
awesome.
That's what, 14th, right? 14th?
Correct. Yeah.
And then April 4th at Danny's. And we'll be there. That one we're opening up for a band from the city that grew out of the Old Town School of Folk Music, the Blue Adapters.
Oh, okay.
So they're kind of an eclectic mix of 60s and 70s and some modern stuff.
I think there are some there's a St. Lawrence guy in that one too, I want to say.
Really?
So, yeah.
So it's quite a distance between the two. I mean, you're not working just the north side or the south side. You're working all over it. So, but now being from the northwest suburbs and working at Tinley Park, you said you've got a good following down there.
Well, yeah, my sister lives in Tinley Park, and because I grew up in Oak Lawn and Mount Greenwood, and the majority of my family and friends are still down there. Matt Powell, our guitarist, is from Mokina, which is close. So, yeah, I mean, the majority of the people that I grew up with and knew, and while I'm still connected to a lot of people in the Northwest Burbs, I've been up there since 2007. That's kind of where I grew up. So, and a lot of people I've been keeping in touch with. So, yeah, I mean, we can definitely draw down there. We played there with Jack Daddy and the Traffic Jam a couple times 2 years ago, drew really well. So, yeah, I'm in, the numbers that we've got right now. You know how it is. You put the Facebook invite out and, it says over 100 and something people are going. So if we get half of that, for that room, that'll be fantastic.
Yeah. But if you're playing to 5 people and you're having fun.
Oh, yeah.
That is true. That's good there.
Especially when you're getting paid.
Yeah.
This is true. This is true. Said by Mike or Matt, our guitar player, he's got family from the area too. So he's out there, and he's actually at a house inspection. He's hoping to buy a new house. So good luck to him. Shout outs. That's why he's not with us today.
Oh, okay.
And our drummer's working his day job.
And now you're going to have the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast advertised for you here.
There you go.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I was so excited about this museum in general. I've been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, and there's always a discussion of the best bands and like the rich culture of Chicago music and who should be in it down the line. And I've heard a lot of people that were associated with it. Scott Childers, an old traffic buddy of mine,
Sure.
WLS historian, is in on this. So yeah, we're really psyched about it.
And we got Jim Peterick is on the advisory board. Bob Surratt,
Right.
he's on the advisory
Yeah, I
board.
worked with Bob at Channel 5. And,
So yeah, they got some heavy hitters back into place.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I can see this doing really, really well. I mean, people are really into the history of music in Chicago and, the old WLS and the Loop. And, you talked about Dick Biondi and the connection to the Beatles back in the day.
Yeah, we do have our Cheap Trick songs in the sets. So
Yeah.
it's there. We love it.
So tell us, let's start with you, Mike. When did you start singing? When did this all come about?
It's been kind of a family thing for me. So way back, my father went to De La Salle and my mother went to Aquinas, and how they met where they were the leads in a couple of high school musicals. Then they, when we were in Catholic school, they would sing in like the church and choir and all the time. So constantly music around my house. My sister sings in a band, and it's just something we've always had around. And I've always sung, but I've never really done it in a band until about, 7 years ago.
Okay.
So it's just something I've always wanted to do. I'd pick up, sing with friends, open mic, karaoke, things like that, or just jam with people. But just got to the point now where, this is something I really want to do, and it's a fantastic hobby and enjoy it. So it's been through our family, really, is what I would say as far as me, getting into music and singing.
Does anyone in your family play a musical instrument?
Not too much, oddly enough. My sister played a little piano, but my mother is in her early 80s and can still sing her ass off.
Really?
It's
Wow,
unbelievable.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Come on,
so-
Mike, you play tambourine in the band.
Yeah.
We need to give you props for that.
I play bad tambourine.
We just bought him for his birthday last month his first real tambourine.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
So,
And it's loud, so now he's got to play it in time because you can hear it.
yeah. So
His goal is to be the Neil Peart of tambourine.
there you go. They're giving me hell. We're doing Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash, and there's Should I Stay or Should I? And you got to do the double time tambourine while you're singing. And
May advance the cowbell at some
doing
point.
this thing.
We
Yeah.
have the very unrealistic expectation. If you could do it in time, now that we can hear the tambourine, it'd be a good idea.
Matt just mentioned Mississippi Queen the other day, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to bust out the cowbell.
Yeah, that's
now.
right.
So
Advance to the cowbell. That's right.
if Don, our producer, says more cowbell, then we get more cowbell. Damn it.
I know. I ran sound for quite a while, and I've seen bands hand out tambourines, and I go, oh no,
Oh,
no. Because sure enough, there's some girl who's like way off time, and it throws everything off, and she's the loudest one too.
Well, we just make some live recordings like that, and we use it in a sex ed class to demonstrate why the rhythm method is not an effective contraception.
Very
That's
good.
nice. That's good.
So Ian, where'd you get your start in playing?
Well, definitely my dad. He, like I mentioned earlier, is a huge fan of the Kingston Trio.
Mm-hmm.
And
They said he owned a recording studio or a record company?
record label, Full Gara Records. Yeah, he for a while wrote a newsletter about the Kingston Trio, and then at some point somebody said, "Hey, any chance you might be able to do a mail order catalog of some of this stuff so it's easier to find?" Because this is the early '80s when he was starting it, and Kingston Trio records were not in the record store unless you got lucky in the used bin, but they were still releasing stuff. So Dad put together a mail order catalog and then got in touch with Capitol Records and went to the vaults and found a few Kingston Trio things that had never been released. And as soon as he put that out, somebody said, "Well, we've got Kingston Trio. What about the Limelighters? What about Glenn Yarbrough?" And it kind of grew from there. But he also played guitar. He has this gorgeous old Martin guitar and a Guild 12 string and a banjo. And when I was 14, 15, I was actually really getting into heavy metal. And Dad and I said, "I want to learn to play guitar. I want to rock out." You missed the devil horns because it's the podcast, but the devil horns. Whenever I say you want to rock out, you got to make the
get the horns up, right?
Anyway,
for the end, yeah.
and Dad said, "Ian, it's the same thing. It's chords are chords. Learn on my acoustics, and then if you want to go shopping for an electric guitar, I'm good with that. I'll support that.
Okay, Dad. Whatever.
And then the week I turned 16, at the start of the week, I went to a Metallica concert. At the end of the week, I went to see Bob Dylan with Steve Earle opening, and that was just a head turn for me about like genre of music. Dad took me to see.
Yeah, that was from one extreme to the other, right?
Yeah, it really was. Really was. And he took me to see John Stewart, who had been in the Kingston Trio and then wrote Daydream Believer and had a hit with Gold in like 79. I'm doing stuff with Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. And John is this great fingerstyle player, great songwriter. And that was really the light bulb. I'm like, okay, now I get it. I want to learn to play guitar. I started really working at it. And it kind of grew from there to different bands and connecting with Don at his school. And now I have more guitars than I have fingers and a patient wife.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Every time you see one, got to buy it.
You got to at least play it to hear what it sounds like and
how it feels. And
how it feels.
Yeah.
And I really think that like I justify buying different guitars because different guitars make you play differently. And then it gives you a different feel and it just keeps it fresh and exciting.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's your turn, Don.
Hello. I'm an old trumpet French horn player from back in the high school days out in Mount Prospect, Prospect Marching Knights, marching band nerd. Then I hung it all up for years and years. And then about 10 years ago, my family member started up Rob Lane plays acoustic guitar and started up a band called Liverpool Acoustic. So he started playing Beatles music out, and then my nephew was playing guitar with him. And then they didn't have a bass player. So I figured, how hard could it be? There's only 4 strings. So I bought myself a bass one day.
You get paid by the string too?
Only if you can use more than one.
Yeah.
I thought if you did E, you got a gig.
Yeah.
So I bought a bass one day on Martin Luther King Day off of school and took it home and put on some Paul McCartney. And I taught myself how to play listening to Paul McCartney, one Beatles song at a time. And then just kind of got bored playing by myself. And I played out with the family a little bit and then ended up meeting Ian and figured it'd be more fun to start doing kind of jams at the house. So the basement turned into a kind of a studio jam space, and that became Flying Pig Sound. And really don't do open sound for other bands, but kind of more of a little close-knit kind of thing. So we just have jams and then started acquiring guitars, and then you just meet people and you meet people through people. And then you do sound for a band, and usually the sound guy ends up being the bass player ends up being the sound guy, because you can't ask the drummer to do it because he's bringing too much stuff.
Yeah.
You can't ask the singers or the guitar players because they're usually the air quotes here. Podcast, the talent. So yeah, the bass player brings the sound gear.
I see.
So
Don's met so many people through the FET that he and his wife run too, which is, the charity for the Almost Home Foundation and
animal rescue benefit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So the Guitars Under the Stars concert every year. And that's just,
you run into people. Yeah.
It's a great musical community. It really is. It's just,
When is that event?
It varies when we do it. We've started off just in the backyard about 10 years ago. We played in the backyard for fun. Figured let's take it out of the basement, do it in the backyard. And then we got such a draw from it. And I'm really big into animal rescue through Almost Home Foundation that we said, well, let's charge a couple bucks. And then next thing you know, we're out in Vasa Park, which is a big kind of park on the river on 31 in South Elgin. Did that there for a couple of years. Did it at Danny's in Douglas for a couple of years. We did it at a place called Gifford's Kitchen, our 10th anniversary show, and we've raised over $32,000 for Almost Home Animal Rescue. Nice. So, and I've got 3 rescue dogs at home right now. So it's and all the people in the band are dog people too. So and cool. Cat people. So we're all kind of animal people. So it's all good.
Yeah, the story of Don and I meeting is funny, like from my wife's perspective. So he puts an ad in Craigslist for, hey, we're doing a little Beatle jam. We're looking for somebody to sing Beatles. And so I respond to it, send him a few recordings, and then I'm going to meet him. Like, my wife's like, all right, so let me get this straight. You're going to meet a guy from an ad in Craigslist in a bar so you can sing for him in his basement. Am I getting this right?
No red flags there at all.
No. Like, yeah, that sounds like a solid idea. So, but I didn't get hacked up and it works. Don's basement is just amazing because it's kind of, you know how sports guys have their like man cave.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. His is like the musical dream of just like,
Nice.
you know, drums down there and the riser, guitars all over the wall. It's just a fantastic place to hang out and jam and for us to practice. And then Ian's got another space, kind of the woodshed out where he's at in Aurora, so that we practice too. So it kind of gives us two different
The woodshed.
vibes. Yeah.
I see.
It's a little barn basically in the backyard out there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
You got to have one heck of a wife to let you do that at home.
Double income, no kids. So
Yeah, I've got a 5-year-old actually. I'm kind of late in the game with kids, so but
we don't play at his house.
no, but you know, my wife's been really supportive with this, and you know, I've had little excursions of things I've done over the year, like radio shows and you know, sportscasting and things like that. And she's always been really supportive, and you know, really supportive with this too.
But Don, you've got your kids are at school all day, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you've got it 5 days a week, right?
29 years of teaching, I figured I've had over 4,000 kids.
Yeah. So you
There
got
isn't a name that I could actually, because they always say if you're a teacher, the hardest part is having kids and coming up with a name that you can name your own kids. Because any name that you'd come up with, you'd think of, okay, no, that's little Johnny Rotten. I can't do that. So yeah. It beats working though.
Well, you learn from the best if you learn from Paul McCartney. Because some of his stuff, I mean, if you listen to just a bass track, I mean, some of them are really
I
complicated.
realized after a while, I go to an open mic to play, and someone would ask me, "Hey, sit in on bass." And the thing I'm not any good at is the typical root chord thump, 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 because I didn't learn that way.
Right.
So I'd actually go out to gigs playing these Beatles acoustics things, and people would come up afterwards and say, "You're playing the actual Paul McCartney bass line."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Don't give me too much credit. I don't know any better." I guess they're used to people that just go out and they'll just try and root chord it and root note it and thud away.
I think no matter what instrument you play, though, or if you sing, I mean, the Beatles is a good way to learn because, you know, with singing, you've got the four guys singing in the huge like curve of you know, vocal range and all that. And then, you know, Ringo's got such a unique drumming style. Right. And then, you know, the guitar with John and George and Paul, especially George, you know, it's just all of those guys
set the bar too high.
Yeah. I mean, instrumentally are so underrated, I think.
Yeah, well, Ringo took a beating for a while there, but I mean, really, when you listen to his stuff, he's really, like you said, very intricate.
It's trend setting. It is. I mean, you know, he did so many things. Yeah, I think because he was in an era where you had the Keith Moons and, you know, the Ginger Bakers and John Bonham later on and all that. And, you know, he wasn't that explosive, but still, I mean, just did some trend setting things that hadn't been
talking
done.
To our drummer, Brian Frederick, was saying that Ringo's lefty. So he'd be doing like Come Together, his fills, and other people are trying to figure out how to do it. And he sounds so unique because he's going.
A lot of people don't realize that he does it backwards.
I didn't know that until Brian told me.
Yeah, Ticket to Ride's the big one. And that's where that came from because he had to come over from the left side.
Ian's got the best quote about drumming. Do you remember your quote from 10 years ago about drumming?
Yeah. The first time I ever sat down at a drum kit, it was the most uncoordinated I'd ever felt in my life. Yeah, well, like, okay, guitar players, I have to move the left and the right hand together, but they're not really moving over that much distance. It's like the guitar neck is only about an inch and a half wide, so you know where your fingers are going. You sit at a drum kit and you've got all this space in front of you, and then you have to add in your left and your right leg, and each of the four limbs has to be doing something different, but in coordination.
Yeah.
My brain hurt just thinking about it.
And the sheer endurance of it too. People don't think about that.
Oh, yeah.
You know? I mean, it's something like as a vocalist, you have to go through too, but then you think about the drumming and just the sheer endurance. And if you're doing a 2-3 hour set, you know, and if you're in a hard rocking band and you're going at it every song, man, that's, you know.
Yeah, I just had shoulder surgery and I couldn't imagine playing drums. Not guitar, I could strum that. So.
Just if you're ever not sure, take a look at the face of a drummer when you suggest playing Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll. Should we play that song? Look at their face. And usually it's like, no, we're not going to do it.
So, Ian, what kind of guitar do you play? You said you have several. You have more
I
than
got a bunch.
Yeah, but what's your?
The one I keep coming back to for C130 is a Les Paul Deluxe. I don't even know the year, 70s somewhere.
Yeah,
I got a great deal on it because it's got a nasty looking headstock brake. But with the mini humbuckers, you get a little bit of chime and jangle when you need it, but you can turn it up some and just get this great classic rock tone.
Yeah.
He's really bringing some cool effects into what we do. And like, you know, there's the whole marriage of the two guitars together. You and Matt are kind of still figuring out. But like we've talked about, we do Rebel, Rebel, and you got the second part of the song where kind of like, you know, you tone your dress, your face is a mess. And then he kind of amps it up with this effects pedal and it just takes it to a whole nother place. It's very cool.
It's kind of our edge.
Yeah.
He's got the pedal board. His pedal board is known as the Death Star. It has to come in a suitcase. We're still working on that. It doesn't look real rock and roll. It looks more garage sale, but it sounds good.
If it works, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right. And
I used to have this road case for it, and the road case weighed another 20 pounds. And I was like, okay, if I don't have to carry it up and down stairs, that's one thing. I have wheels, but by the time I'm carrying it up and down stairs, I'm like, okay, what can I do to make this lighter?
Right.
Oh, you know,
put it in a suitcase.
Yeah.
You get roadies. That's right.
yeah. I've tried to convince my wife, and she's like, yeah, no way. But one of my favorite bands is Wilco, and Nels Klein is just this mastermind of kind of avant-garde, jazzy kind of sounds and craziness with the pedals. So I love doing that. The kind of guitar I play, I don't really manage to sound like other guitar players. I try and cop a Stevie Ray Vaughan lick or a George lick, and it doesn't quite sound right. But I get to play what I want to play, and I sound like me, which I'm really proud of. But I also know that
absolutely.
it makes it a tough fit for me in a cover band, which is where I love playing with Matt Powell, because he has got that classic rock tone and the classic rock licks down. And it's kind of like, okay, we're gonna do Roadhouse Blues. Matt nails the solo.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna do something where we're gonna, you know, I'm Not Your Stepping Stone by the Monkees, where we're really punk it up.
Right.
Okay,
Change
I
it
can
up.
go that crazy with that and really have a lot of fun. And Matt's like, oh. It's a good balance.
What kind of amps you play through?
At Don's, he's got an Ampeg reverb rocket, I think it is what it is in the basement. It's one of the 90s ones. At home, I've got a Victoria that I just love.
Oh, very cool.
I mean, you guys have probably gone through this too. It's, you know, the quandary of a cover band is like, do you want to try to sound exactly like the song, or do you want to do, you know, your version of kind of sounding like that? And I think we've kind of basically worked our way into the latter, and that seems to work better for us, where, you know, you're not trying to sound exactly like the song you're covering, and you're kind of doing the way you do it. And Stepping Stone's that perfect example. So we're like, you know, especially without keys, it's hard to sound like the Monkees, but then we're kind of doing like a harder rockin' version of it. And it's a song everybody recognizes, but then it kind of takes it to another place, which is cool. And you make it your own, you know?
There's a effects pedal you can get to make your guitar sound like keys.
I actually have that. It's the Electro Harmonic B9. It's a staple on the pedal board.
See? Now you can bring the keys into the Monkey songs.
You're talking his language.
What kind of bass do you play?
Started off with Hofner's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Started off with a real cheapy one. And then my favorite for a long time was the Hofner Very Thin. The Contemporary series, which looks a little bit like a Gibson 335. But the big thing that I'm really kind of the whole band, we seem to be more Gibson guys. My favorite bass at the moment is actually an Epiphone Jack Cassidy. I think it's a hollow body, double cutaway, and it's got a Veritone switch. You can do a lot with that little thing, and it doesn't weigh a thing. Then
travel light.
Yeah, and it's
Ian. Take note of that.
Yeah, and it just sounds great, and love my got a Gibson Firebird or a Thunderbird. Love that because Matt's got a kind of a vintage Firebird that's just gorgeous. Although he just picked up a little 4 or 5 pound Gibson, what's it called, a DC Tribute, that they're selling for about $500, and he played it at practice last night. It's got a single P90 and a thing. Just is amazing.
Wow.
It literally weighs like 5 pounds.
Wow.
Which, Ian, of course, I had for a brief period of time, I tried a Gibson RD, which is a 13 pound bass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that didn't last long. I'm kind of a
talk about shoulder surgery.
Yeah, I'm kind of the gear guy as far as
yeah,
that.
I mean, you're kind of a collector too, though. It's funny, we all communicate through this like chat, text thread, and here we are right now. Don's looking at another bass, and this happens like every other week, you know. But
Nice thing about it is you can flip them real often. You take better pictures and you clean them up, and you could usually make a couple bucks on them.
he's a real good details guy, like detail down, and which I'm horrible at. And so it kind of is a really good balance, and like him setting up the sound and everything and all that. And he's so good with details and little things.
I'm known as the control enthusiast.
So, Mike, kind of tambourines
what did I get? See, this is what I know. What did I get from my
He's
birthday?
got himself a high-end LP, and it's got the brass and the steel chimes on it. So,
Nice.
yeah.
is it acoustic or electric?
Ooh. You're a dangerous man putting thoughts in my head.
He's thinking about how he can put it in, put a pickup on it.
You're going to put a pickup on it.
It almost be wrong is putting a pickup on a banjo. I don't know.
We were just joking. Yeah, I did like 5 guitar lessons. I had shoulder issues like you did, and it kind of got me to bail out on it. And there were enough guitarists. I'm like, I'm just gonna sing. But it is weird getting like we're doing Some Might Say by Oasis, which is a song I'm still getting familiar with. And then you kind of, and I'm sure anybody who plays anything and has to sing too, you kind of have to get familiar with the singing of the song, and then you can play a little better.
Right.
You know, as opposed to like Rebel, which I've done for years, and it's one beat. You just kind of keep going in the tambourine. I can't believe I'm having a tambourine conversation here, but
It's a musical instrument.
it is. Yeah. No, we did these band bios that we put out on Facebook, and we just kind of put the tambourine thing as a joke. And I was putting like my favorite tambourinist, like Susie Partridge.
I saw that.
And then there's some like dudes who are all serious about it, and, you know.
He made a comment on there that I think it was Susie Partridge, Davy Jones, and then the bald guy from the George Harrison tribute. And we had someone point out, it got really thin. That's Ray Cooper. Like, yeah, we know. We're just having fun.
Lighten up, friends.
You got your mother in a world. She's not sure if you're a boy or a girl. Hey, babe, your hair's so right. Hey, babe, let's go out tonight. You like me and I like it all. We like dancing in the divine. You know bands when they're playing hard. You want more and they won't advance. You put me down, you say I'm wrong. You take a thing, you put them on. Rebel, you told you.
And his next goal is to get into triangle, and we're looking at these aged brass triangles and what the like
Chimes, maybe.
there you go.
Yeah, the chemistry, the mass
little
and the
acoustic
weight is,
shakers,
and whether or
acoustic
not that if you
bags,
shave off like an eighth of an inch off the end of the triangle, if it has a little bit more resonance, or if you need to add that extra bit of mass.
Maybe, you know, my ultimate goal would be like xylophones.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be traveling. You'll be carrying more gear than the rest of the band.
There may be some
No,
bells
it's okay.
or the bells or the water bottles.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So,
Or empty Guinness glasses. We could just drink them to a certain point.
certain
And,
point,
like, you know,
there you go.
around the
That's a D.
edges.
That's a D there. Okay.
yeah. Guinness is the official beer of C130, I think. So,
Nice.
This podcast is brought to you by Guinness.
Guinness and Gibbs.
so which is why St. Patrick's
Is there
Day-
one handy?
Yeah, a St. Patrick's gig is so perfect for us. You know,
Definitely. So,
Mine would be brought to you by tequila, but
Yeah.
you know,
so where can people find C130 socially or?
Well, we all turn to Don here.
Website would be c130band.com. And then you can find us on Facebook in North America.
In North America.
there you go. As opposed to the Japanese version, all right?
Somewhere in Asia. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so we just, like I said, we just started this in September, October. Then we have about 500 followers on Facebook now, which has been pretty cool. And, you know, we like to just, we're really enjoying this. And it's, you know, like I said, you want it to sound good, but the big thing is like, we're not taking it like uber seriously. We've all got real jobs and just having a great time with it. Try to put pictures out of our practices all the time. Don's doing this bizarro effects thing now where, you know,
yeah, I saw the pictures with Catabano.
well, you know, it makes a bunch of bald middle-aged dudes look better. And, you know, so there's that too. So.
You can only put the same picture every week of a bunch of guys in a basement. So I figured if you're going to put pictures out, let's edit them, cut them, and give it some kind of a flair, a touch, so it makes it a little more interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure, and we'll play anywhere. People who want to, book us, and I think we're drawn pretty well. So
They can contact you through the website.
yeah, or Mike Lorber. I'm on Facebook. I'm really easy to find, and send a message there, or through Don, or however you want to do it.
Stop by to school during the week when you guys are there.
The biggest thing, though, is it's fun. We're all having fun, and we all get along. It's five guys that even though we all have kind of different tastes, different interests, we all have a lot of stuff in common. And I can't think there hasn't been any drama, and it's just fun.
Right.
And we played last night, and at the end, you just sit down and have a drink, and it's fun, which is why we're doing it. That's ultimately it. Once it stops being fun, then you stop doing it. And there's a lot of people that are playing in bands that aren't having fun, and I can't figure out why they do it.
Yeah, well, ego's getting away. Yes.
Well, sure, yeah.
And drama happens.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, amazing. Like what you've been doing in the Dancing Noodles. We do that for so many years and just keep the band together. I mean, that's just that's an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah, we're going on 36 years with that band.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
And a couple of us left the band for a while, but the bass player and the drummer kept it going for many years, and it was different guys. And now it's back to almost all the original guys. So.
I mean, you guys are an institution on the South Side, I mean, growing up in high school, like remember like going out and seeing you, and people talking about you.
But you've had obviously then lots of contact with other bands of all different talent levels, and so you have to have seen all the drama that you see in bands of all different talent levels. There's beginner bands that have just amazing amounts of drama. And obviously, the professionals, those are storied.
I have stories I could tell you. I ran sound at the Blue Chip Casino in Michigan City for almost 12 years, and I still run it occasionally out there when they're short-handed. But I've seen so many bands and worked with so many different bands, and some of the drama I could tell you. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
So if you can find a group of people that can play together and have fun, you stick with it.
Yes. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming in. And
oh, man. Thank you so much for having us out here. This is really like a privilege to be in here before this place is really open. And I'm like really looking forward to coming out here when it's all done.
Eventually when they're going to try and get the first floor open here, and then to go up to the second floor and the third floor too. There's three floors here. There's going to be a performance area on the third floor. So.
Well, we all walked in and we're like, oh, look at all these old pictures, and hey, here's some signed Cheap Trick stuff, and look at these old custom amps, and we're ready to come for opening day.
All right. Gonna get a selfie here.
All right, go ahead.
Selfies really do well on podcasts, don't they?
They do.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Well, that was Mike Dunn and Ian from C130. They seem to have their stuff together there, don't they?
They do, and I'm telling you, nothing impresses me more than a seasoned tambourinist.
Yes.
Unbelievable. You don't meet many tambourinists out there.
Don't give Mike a hard time now. Come on.
I'm not giving him a hard time. It's an honor to be in the same vicinity of somebody so seasoned on the tambourine.
Well, he jokes about it, but it is an instrument. Right?
Yes, it is, and I think Don is working on putting pickups on there.
I think so. He was running home.
Yeah, I think
he was running home with that idea.
He was writing stuff down, drawing little sketches and stuff. I'm like, yeah, he's probably got it done already.
I would imagine he probably does.
That's right. Stopped at Guitar Center, got some chords.
Sounds like he might have everything at home that he needs to do it.
Yeah,
so.
He may. But yeah, that's a great bunch of guys. Sounds like they're going to have themselves a really good band. Got to get out to Tinley Park on March 14th to the station and see them.
Yes, indeed. Well, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next week with another fine podcast recorded right here at the Rock and Roll Museum.
Same podcast time, same podcast channel.
That's right. Right here at Route 66 Museum on Route 66.
The Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66. And don't forget the roadtorock.radio.net, where you can catch this podcast as well as Illinois music that you would not believe. So much Illinois music on Road to Rock Radio. And catch our podcast every Monday at 6 p.m.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Have a great week.